Welcome to this explainer. I want you to take a second and just picture a scene with me. Imagine a really dark, medieval castle corridor. The only light comes from these flickering candles, casting huge, dramatic shadows against cold stone walls. And right at the end of this hall sits a powerful king on a throne, just cloaked in this atmosphere of absolute authority. We're setting this deliberately slow, dramatic tone right out of the gate today because we're looking at a timeless and honestly often hidden rule of power in human behavior. It's a dynamic that dictated literal survival in grand medieval courts, but you know what? It continues to completely dictate success in modern boardrooms today. Today, we're exploring the peril of prominence.
Okay, let's dive into this. Many powerful people were destroyed by a single mistake. They shined brighter than the person above them. Think back to that heavy atmosphere we just envisioned. A young, incredibly intelligent royal advisor is standing before an aging king in a grand court, bathed in that dark golden lighting. The advisor is up there presenting a brilliant idea, just full of energy and undeniable talent. But instead of applause, there is this dangerous, silent tension in the room. Why? Because in that exact moment, the advisor made the singular mistake of appearing more capable than the monarch they actually serve.
This whole dynamic is captured perfectly by the first law of power: never outshine the master. It sounds incredibly simple, right? But honestly, it's so hard for high achievers to actually follow. And listen, this isn't just some abstract philosophical theory. This is a stark, cold, historical reality. Whenever you step into any hierarchy, there are unwritten rules. And this one is arguably the absolute most foundational. The peril of provenance is that your own brilliance can actually become the very tool of your undoing if you aren't paying close attention to the power dynamics at play.
To really grasp why this law even exists, we have to look at the three levers of superiority that basically define a master. We're talking authority, status, and influence. When someone holds more of these three elements than you do, they completely dictate the rules of the game. If you're a focused learner trying to navigate your career or even your social circles, you absolutely must recognize these levers. Making someone who possesses more authority, status, or influence feel inferior to you is incredibly dangerous. It's literally like walking into a powder keg with a lit match. You might be completely right and you might be incredibly skilled, but if you threaten their grip on these three levers, your skill is not going to save you.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the hidden trap isn't actually your talent itself. Not at all. It's the deep insecurity that your talent provokes in leadership. Picture a close-up of a ruler's face in that candlelit chamber. As they listen to their brilliant subordinate, you don't always see pride in their eyes. Actually, quite often you see the intense, dark shadows of jealousy and suspicion slowly creeping in. The trap is sprung the exact moment your superior stops thinking about how helpful you are and starts panicking about how easily you could replace them. And this brilliantly illustrates how we logically expect leaders to act versus what actually happens. I mean, we all want to believe that people, especially powerful leaders, make decisions based on pure logic, right? Logically, a leader should want the absolute smartest, most capable people shining as brightly as possible to elevate the entire team. But reality is so much harsher. People do not always make decisions based on logic. When a leader feels threatened, logic just goes straight out the window. They'll bypass it entirely and act aggressively to protect their pride, their ego, and their position.
History is just littered with the casualties of this law. We're talking brilliant scholars, accomplished generals, talented advisors, all completely pushed aside. Take Nicolas Fouquet, the finance minister for King Louis XIV of France. Fouquet was brilliant, he was generous, and incredibly competent. So to honor the king, he threw the most lavish, spectacular party the country had literally ever seen. But instead of being flattered, Louis XIV felt utterly upstaged. The very next day, Fouquet was arrested and spent the rest of his life in solitary confinement. His fatal flaw wasn't incompetence, guys. It was displaying his skill, his wealth, and his charm way too boldly. He was cast into the dark not because he lacked intellect, but because he triggered the ego of the master.
So, the crucial point is, after hearing all this gloomy, dark history, you might honestly think the only way to survive is to just pretend you're completely incompetent. But actually, scratch that. That is a massive misconception. This law does absolutely not mean hiding your talent. If you completely suppress your abilities, well, you become useless to the master and you're just going to be discarded anyway. The goal isn't to diminish your light. The goal is to control exactly where your light is directed.
Navigating all these power dynamics really requires acute situational awareness and deliberate timing, rather than just, blind, unbridled ambition. First, you've got to master your timing. Know exactly when to shine. Second, know how to shine. Like, can you present your brilliant idea in a way that makes your boss look like an absolute genius for agreeing with it? And finally, always know who is watching. By understanding the insecurities of your superiors, you don't just survive the hierarchy, you thrive in it. Imagine a lone strategist walking safely through that dark, mysterious stone corridor, torchlight reflecting on the walls. They survive in epic fashion because they've completely mastered this strategy of prominence.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Sometimes, your greatest strength becomes your greatest weakness. That leads to this deep, kind of paradoxical psychological reality. The very thing that makes you exceptional, your sharp intellect, your speed, your charisma, is the exact same thing that will make a superior feel inferior. Without a strategy, your greatest asset literally becomes the very weapon used against you.
Which brings us to a really critical question to leave you with. When does your greatest strength become a weakness? I want you to take a hard look at your own professional life and your personal dynamics. Are you blinding the people above you with your brilliance? Or are you strategically illuminating the path forward? Keep your situational awareness sharp, and we'll see you in the next explainer.